welcome to another installment of the Wonder Room, where we are creating our virtual cabinet of curiosities with faculty, staff, alumni, and other artists from across the globe. Today we have chair of the music department, as well as the Richard Lucier Endowed Professor at Denison University, Ching-chu Hu. Welcome.
Hi, Megan. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you. Now, what have you decided for your object?
Well, I thought about a variety of things, but I think I actually ended up settling on a piece that I wrote a few years back. That was a commission that I thought might be interesting in terms of the story, in terms of sort of gives a little sense of how I write or the process behind it and sort of the meaning behind a piece.
Cool. And what piece did you select?
So I selected this work called Spheres of Influence, and it's written for a string sextet. And so there are actually two violins, two violas, and two cellos that are in this sextet, sort of arranged in a little bit of a different way. I have the violins on the outside, the violas in the middle, and the cellos in the center, so that it sort of creates almost two teams of people. And the whole piece is sort of about how, when I stop to think about it, it seems like every decision I make, or maybe even the things I like or don't like, have been influenced by either my friends or my family or by teachers when we're thinking about musical decisions that we make. I started thinking about like how the lessons that I take, whether it was on piano or bass or conducting or composition, were influenced by their teachers and their teachers. So the lessons that I have that have been passed down, I can actually trace from my teachers back to Beethoven and things like that. So it's like, I wonder what gets passed on, and so I feel like, certain opinions that we hold when we go to college or things like that, they may be our opinions, but they also may be opinions that were formed by our friends and family until we leave and try to figure out what's important for ourselves. And so I think that idea of how we influence one another and how we are influenced by one another was something I wanted to try in sort of a musical setting. So this piece was commissioned by the Walla Walla Chamber Music Festival. And what I thought I would do, it's in one movement, and I'll send you the link so you can post the link up for the piece. It's about a 14-minute piece, but it's in 3 sections, but it's one continuous movement. And it deals with this idea of passing on ideas and motives, letting each instrument sort of influence the other.
Cool. Well, I'm really excited. Are there particular parts that you want to show us or tell us about today?
I think I might share with you 2 little moments. I think just the beginning, just to get you launched into this piece. If you click play, you'll hear that everybody sort of starts on this one note. So I thought the idea is sort of like almost like the Big Bang Theory or something, like it just starts with one thing and it starts getting passed around. So they'll all be playing one pitch, and you'll hear the first violinist, who's his name is Stephen Miyake, play this little glissando, which is a slide. And soon that slide starts going around a little bit to some of the other instruments. So I'll play maybe like the first 20 seconds of the piece, just to sort of give you an idea of that. Hopefully with that little snippet, you can sort of hear a few things. You can hear sort of like this idea of the musical idea, sort of popcorn sort of being passed around, but also a little bit of a Chinese influence in there. What I wanted to do with this piece is also sort of think about my influences as a Chinese American. I was born and raised in Iowa, but obviously when people see me, they think, they know I'm Chinese, but they may not think that I'm American. And so this duality is something that I've always sort of thought about in my music, in terms of what is your outside appearance? What are you on the inside? Because when I go to China, they see me as American right away because of the way I dress, the way I stand, the way I walk. They don't see me as Chinese, they see me as American. So it's really interesting to sort of play with that. So the piece itself goes through sort of 3 sections, sort of that quick section, and then sort of a lament in the middle. And that's sort of my thinking about how my husband and I are foster adoptive parents, so we've had many kids sort of go through our homes, and there's this idea of like, well, sometimes a child is with us just a short amount of time, but what can we do to help influence them a little bit? What can we do to sort of help set up the foundation? And hopefully, maybe years from now, something like that, something that they do, or a decision they make was a positive reaction from an influence that we've done. So, this is the idea of how parents have influenced us as children, how we influence our kids, that kind of thing. And so then the end of the piece, then the third section is sort of a melding of American and Chinese sort of ideas. I sort of call it my sort of Asian cowboy music. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that with you as well.
Okay.
Okay. So you can sort of hear some of the pizzas and pizzicato, which are the plucking, and some of the slides from the beginning are there at the end as well, but it's sort of in a new setting.
Well, it's really wonderful to hear a little bit more about your own personal process, and I think to get a bit of a sneak peek and into the background and actually hear from the artists themselves about the work, which is something we don't always get to, I think, really appreciate it. It comes from a scholar later on,
Yeah. Right.
but
Hopefully.
not necessarily from the artist's mouth. So this is a
Right.
real treat. But thank you so much for your time today and for
You bet.
participating in the Wonder Room. If you know of others, or if anybody else watching would like to participate in the Wonder Room, we'll hope that you will reach out to the museum. But otherwise, we'll catch you in the next installment. Until then, we'll see you later.
Thank you.